Hello, this is Professor Hoffman. I'm coming to you via video recording on my screen. We're going to talk about integrating evidence, and that is supposed to be for writing essays. This is for my students who are either in class as serving as a refresher, or perhaps someone maybe missed the class because they were part of the soccer team, or maybe they were sick. This is what this is for. This is also a great opportunity for my online students who don't get to see me teach in person to hear my voice and talk about what this is. So the first thing we need to understand is that a thesis statement is a central idea and it requires supporting evidence. And I ask all of my students to memorize my definition of what a thesis statement is, because I will ask you time and time again on what a thesis statement is. I just want this completely incorporated into your brains, because this is going to affect your writing from here on out in college. Um, so now that we know what a thesis statement is, we need to support the thesis. So how do we support a thesis? And we support the thesis through well-developed paragraphs. So what is a well-developed paragraph? For starters, anything that does not support the thesis does not belong in your paper. The paragraphs are to serve a single purpose, and that is to add credibility and support to the paper's thesis statement. How many sentences does a paragraph contain? A typical paragraph can range in length from 4 to 12 sentences long, with the exception of the introductory and the concluding paragraphs, as they may be as short as 3 sentences. So, to give you an understanding of how this would look, I'm going to provide you with the chocolate cake method. Now, this method was developed by my College Survey of British Literature 1, 2, and 3 professor, Dr. Matthew Binney. He is an associate professor over at Eastern, where I graduated, and he allowed a handful of us to use this to incorporate into our own teaching. So, the thing we need to get context with this method is that there was an old comedy routine that Bill Cosby did many years ago. I want to say maybe at least 20 years ago. Um, he talked about how he had a conversation with his daughter when she was small. She wanted chocolate cake for breakfast. Of course, any parent would say no, and Cosby, however, tries to reason with giving his child chocolate cake for breakfast. Why? Well, chocolate cake provides things that you would find in, say, pancakes or waffles, stuff like that. So let's discuss the chocolate cake method. So every paragraph or discussion post requires a topic, a comment, and a warrant. For example, the topic would be for breakfast, chocolate cake. The comment is good, and the warrant is because it contains nutritious ingredients for sustaining an active body through the day, including milk, eggs, and flour. So the comment asserts a claim, and the warrant states why the claim is valid. This is the thesis statement. So to illustrate, we need to integrate textual evidence or quotes from our text in order to support a claim. So we're going to compose a body paragraph for the essay. So, did I go a little too far? Yes, I did. We need to be more specific about our body paragraph within our essay about chocolate cake. I need another major claim for this paragraph, but since it is a body paragraph and covering only a specific element of the thesis, we need to call this the claim sentence or assertion a topic sentence, and this is key for my Foundations of College Writing students in our textbooks. This would be the T portion, the topic sentence portion of our test acronym that we're working on. So the example here is chocolate cake provides the important nutrients of a traditional breakfast because it contains milk. So we still need to need supportive statements or outside evidence, which is not our own opinion, to support a topic, sentence, claim, and warrant. We need to set up the support with a sentence of support. This would be the evidence part of our test acronym for my foundation students. So the example here is milk contains the nutrient calcium, which assists in the development of strong bones and muscles. So to prove our supporting statement, we will pull in evidence from a reputable, unbiased, and peer-reviewed source. So, what do I mean by reputable, unbiased, and peer-reviewed source? This means our sources must come from a professional in the field that has obtained a master's degree or higher. In the academic world, these individuals are best at explaining the facts without placing their own agendas to sway the audience. These individuals also have their work checked by others in their field who have at least a master's degree or higher. The purpose is so that false information is not given to the public. So, when we look for outside sources, we have to make sure we only pull from primary or secondary sources. A primary source is an original object or document, which is the raw material or first-hand information that is the closest to what is being studied. Primary sources can vary by discipline and can include things like historical or legal documents, eyewitness accounts, results of an experiment or statistical data, pieces of creative writing, scholarly articles or papers from conferences. And then moving on to the secondary source, it is something that is written about the primary source and can include comments on, interpretations of, or discussing about the original material. These can be materials from articles in newspapers or popular magazines, books, movies, reviews, or articles found in scholarly journals that evaluate or criticize the original research of someone else. So, for our essay about having chocolate cake for breakfast, we need to pull a source to prove the source. So the example here is Dr. X of the Kellogg Group reports that growing children need calcium as they develop in the formative adolescent years because it is required for muscle contraction, blood vessel expansion and contraction, secretion of hormones and enzymes, and transmitting impulses through the nervous system. And this is found on page 215 of the supposed book or article that we're working on. The very first portion of the very first sentence up there is called a signal phrase. This means we are introducing the idea and the outside source into our sentence. So, what we need to do from here is we need to comment on the evidence, as we cannot leave the evidence hanging at the end of a paragraph. The reader will not be totally convinced even now because we need to make the connection back to our thesis statement or topic sentence for them. So we always need to hold your reader's hand through your thought process. Do not ever assume your reader will make the same logical connections as you without your leading them. So the example here, to comment on the textual evidence from the previous slide, the proper secretion of hormones and muscular and nervous system development is essential for children since their bodies grow at a much greater rate than young adults or seniors. Since chocolate cake contains calcium, then eating chocolate cake would contribute significantly to the child's proper development. So now we need to finally wrap up this thought at the end of our paragraph. This would be the summary statement from the TEST acronym for my foundation students. This concluding sentence needs to conclude the thought about milk from our topic sentence and prepare our reader for the next section of our paper. This is a good example of where transitions from text will come into play from beyond our paragraphs, but throughout the essay. So, in addition to milk, chocolate cake provides other essential vitamins like those from eggs. So as you can see, we're transitioning from the milk paragraph to the egg paragraph. So the topic sentence for the next paragraph would say, eggs provide nutrients that help the body and mind during the day. You must then repeat this process for every body paragraph throughout your essay until you have exhausted all topics for the thesis statement. Do you guys see the steps that are being made here? So, once the writer has made a claim and developed a support for it, he or she must find a meaningful way to conclude the essay. You do not simply restate the ideas of the introduction. An effective conclusion often paraphrases or restates important ideas. However, it does more. So, the conclusion should leave the readers with a tangible sense of having learned and discovered something of worth. A conclusion may challenge readers with an important related idea or question. It may sum up the paper's main ideas in a way that leaves the reader feeling compelled or to act or think differently. Ultimately, a conclusion brings a sense of closure to the paper. However, this does not necessarily require the conclusion to provide closure for the main issue discussed. So, our example concluding paragraph about chocolate cake would look something like this. With ingredients of milk, flour, and eggs, chocolate cake provides such essential nutrients as calcium, protein, vitamin D, and vitamin A. All of these vitamins and nutrients prove important for growing bodies and minds, especially at the beginning of the day. Particularly, children need milk to ensure proper growth, eggs to ensure proper stamina and mental vitality, and flour to ensure proper energy. After recognizing these important characteristics of chocolate cake, more people need to rethink their customary morning practice of flipping flapjacks to cutting a nice piece of wholesome chocolate cake. So, the big thing you need to know is that this is not the only effective way to make claims and use supporting evidence. However, it may help you to start with a formula like the chocolate cake method, and then once you are comfortable with that formula, alter and build off of it. Get creative, alter the method. Before you alter the method, you must become completely comfortable with the method that works best for you. So, this is the conclusion of the chocolate cake method. If you have questions about this or how to integrate evidence into your essay, please contact me at marie.hoffman@northwestu.edu.